think that generative AI is certainly one of the areas where, in the creative sector, we could see significant changes in how businesses operate. I think that there's a lot of ethical questions that need to be asked around copyright and the sort of materials that have been used to train these generative AI models. But fundamentally, though there are those challenges, I do think that there are opportunities in the sector to use generative AI to enhance the work of these companies and improve the output of the content. So, for example, in the film industry, there's the potential to use generative AI to create a more sustainable filmmaking environment where you don't necessarily need to send a team around the world to film in a particular location, because generative AI could create that location. So there's lots of different things that this technology can be utilized for, and it's quite an exciting time. I myself was working recently on a content enhancement solution, and I think that we're likely to see a lot of improvements as well in that area. I mean, there's companies like Flawless AI, for example, that are working on tools to change when a piece of content is dubbed, to change the voice and the lips so that it syncs directly with the actor, so that they can speak directly in different languages. So instead of just these dubbings where the voices move at different times, you'd have something very streamlined and great for an audience. So there's lots of different tools out there that are going to really impact the creative sector, and I think in a positive way. I think it's certainly a risk, and I think it's one we need to be aware of, but that's where it really comes down to responsible AI and how we implement these solutions. The choice of how these solutions are implemented is with management. And if you want to, you could reduce significantly the headcount of different companies using these tools. However, the danger of doing that, as with any industry actually, is the fact that these models need to be continuously trained. And if you remove staff, you end up in a situation potentially further down the line where there's drift in the AI models, and you need to retrain them, but you don't have the staff with the skills necessary to do so. So it becomes a bit of a challenge for the organization, and we've seen actually companies fail because of that, and because they've not prepared themselves for the fact that these models are not an endpoint. They need to be continuously trained and continuously updated. So I think there's a balance. Certainly, I would say that companies can streamline their operations, but what I would like to see is ethical implementation of AI within the creative sector, and it being used as a hybrid solution with humans to enhance productivity and to enable us as a sector to kind of take away some of the more admin tasks and to enhance the user experience without cutting so many jobs. I think it actually can be a job creator, certainly when it comes to data science, as I can see a big need in the sector for more data scientists. If you look at the quality of the data generally in the media and entertainment industry, there's a lot of data normalization needs to happen, data cleaning, and that will inevitably create jobs in the sector too. I think that it's a bit of a minefield when it comes to the ethical quandaries, because there are lots of different types, and I'll give you an example. So, for example, one of the projects I was working on recently, which was in video analysis, we encountered a lot of potentially ethical situations where, the AI that we trained on various clips from Hollywood movies would recognize certain issues as being more severe than others, based on the training data set. So if you have more examples of one gender stabbing another gender, and it's saying that is strong violence, for example, these models can generalize, and so they would assume that every time that gender stabs that other gender, it's a little bit more severe than the other way around. And those sort of issues do bring up ethical quandaries, especially when you look at gender bias and race bias and things like that, which can be real issues. Then there's the ethical quandary of the job losses as well that could be potentially caused by these solutions. On that front, I think it really comes down to the strategic implementation, and I think there are ways in which companies can utilize this technology in a hybrid way to ensure that humans maintain their roles within organizations, but productivity is increased and performance is improved. And so I think that's the way I would like to see organizations address that. Other ethical issues that can occur, really come down to the particular use case that the company is looking at. But obviously, the beauty and the dangers of AI is that it can be used in so many different ways. It really comes down to that strategic decision-making piece. And there are, as I said previously in my previous response, those standards which are a very helpful guide in how these tools can be implemented. And there's the EU AI Act, for example, which is being currently worked on. That's a useful, helpful guide in terms of what is high risk AI, what is low risk AI, and what is moderate risk AI, and the sort of ethical issues you may encounter when taking on one of these projects. So I think the 5 key ways in which the creative sector are able to use this technology are, first of all, information analysis. So, customer recommendation engines, for example, analyzing customer behavior, optimizing the online experience or the user experience for their customers. Then there's content enhancement, which is the visual effects aspect of it. So you've got companies like Flawless AI, for example, working on, instead of dubbed media works, kind of having the lips out of sync, having a technology that actually is able to sync those lips with different languages, so that it's a really smooth viewing experience for the viewer and a better viewing experience. And then there's the extract and enhance aspect, where you're looking at semantic segmentation or image recognition, so recognizing objects or other incidents within media works. So, for example, one of the big projects I was working on recently was developing a multimodal AI solution that could recognize the severity levels of violence within a media work, within a video work. And I think that sort of technology is in its infancy, really, because it relies so heavily on high quality data, and there's a lot of companies investing a lot in data preparation specifically for that use case, to extract more information from video content. And I think that's an area we're going to see significant growth over the coming years. And then you've got data compression. Data compression has been widely used within the media and entertainment sector for a long time. And that's because they have huge media files of films and videos and works. And that AI technology is all about kind of basically reducing the size of the cloud storage capacity they need to store all of this really high quality video content. And then you've got content creation, so the generative AI. And I think the generative AI aspect is one where obviously there's a lot more ethical questions at the moment around the copyrighted materials that have been used to train generative AI models. But on the other hand, I think generative AI really offers the creative sector some really exciting opportunities. Whether you're a marketing firm, whether you're a media and entertainment company, there's so many different possibilities about how this technology could enhance what you do, whether it's promotional material, coming up with different adverts for your content, or whether it's providing, for example, background views. So, for example, instead of having to fly a team halfway around the world, you could use a green screen and generate an AI background for a particular film. So there's so many different use cases with generative AI. I'm really excited to see how that plays out. And also the copyright question, I think, is a fascinating one. And it really comes down to what is creativity? What is creativity? Is it the idea, the very inception of that idea within the human mind that, an AI prompt can capture? Or is it also in the delivery? And if it's in the delivery as well, where does that leave generative AI? Is generative AI creating derivative works of the people whose copyrighted content has been used to train it? Or is it creating brand new works? Because there are arguments on both sides, and I think it's going to be a really interesting conversation for us to continue to have. I hope that the audiences will understand the challenges with implementing AI projects, but feel inspired to explore the opportunity and to speak to experts as well in the field to work out how they can strategically move forward with AI to enhance their productivity and enhance the performance of their business. I think there's so many exciting ways that this technology can be implemented in the creative sector, and I hope to inspire people to try it and to explore how it can be ethically and responsibly implemented. So certainly, my experience within the standards sector as well in setting these global standards is a helpful guide for companies, and I hope to, depending on the topic that I'm asked to speak about, I hope that I can provide them with useful information that is digestible for those that are not necessarily experts in AI, and that can be utilized as a way forward for those businesses to try this new technology and enhance their operations.